Chris, right? Hey guys, on today's episode Beyond the Chair with Sheriff Chris, special guest, and Hussein and Nashid. Now we're gonna discuss how his journey and sheriff and why he wanna be as a governor of Michigan. So can you tell us a little about your journey and sheriff and what's the most you're proud of?
So first I gotta say, you said Sheriff Chris, only because that's easy for you to say. And I was trying to keep it real and trying to keep it low key, but it's Swanson.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But I'm gonna go with just Chris on this show, man, because I want people to keep it simple. Man, I just love people. And I've been serving people my whole life. Been on the job at the sheriff's office for 32 years, and there's not a crisis that I have not had a chance to be a part of, and seen so much brokenness. I can bring hope to anything.
Amen.
Nice. What's the most you proud of?
Like, what's one thing you've accomplished as a sheriff?
Yeah, I mean, May 30th, 2020, when Flint was expected to riot, you know, my grandfather and my dad were both Detroit police officers. And so they grew up in an era that when I came in, that's what I was taught on policing. But when I came up in the 90s, I saw a different need in Flint. And when the people were expected to riot, we chose a different path. And on that day, it completely transformed the way you handle crisis. And that was a very defining moment in my life. We chose to walk instead of riot, and it reached 3.2 billion people in 24 hours. Okay. Just like this podcast is gonna reach. Did you guys catch that?
Yes, absolutely.
Just like this podcast is gonna reach 3.2 billion. We're trying to break a record.
What made you you wanna go from sheriff to governor? What difference you gonna make with the governor we have now?
Well, there's an open seat coming up.
Yes.
Yep.
Fun fact, a sheriff elected by the people is to do two things: enforce laws and maintain order. The governor, under the Constitution, is to do two things elected by the people: to enforce laws and maintain order. It's a natural progression.
Nice.
The governor's like a sheriff, just statewide.
You're right.
That's right.
So, very key point. You're not running against the current governor.
Right.
Their term has ended.
Correct. Well, it will end in 2026.
And we thank them for all that they've done.
That's right.
Amazing things.
That's right.
One thing I really, really love about you as a person.
Thank you.
And he's got my vote through and through. I've been saying this from the first time I met
Me
Sheriff.
too.
That's
and
three.
all my followers.
That's three.
That's three, right? We got
Just
sergeants
three
really
more,
in the building.
I'm talking about the three of us at least. And my mom.
Yes, sir.
And
There's
my
four of
mom.
us.
My
Yeah.
mom.
You have a very electrifying personality.
Thank you.
Right? You actually, and I think it stems from you genuinely being sincere in what you believe in. And I was on some of your campaign, and there's a consistent theme of unity. Why is that important to you? Because typically people, when they run, they'll pitch one group against another group in order to maximize their votes. You've been completely different in this.
People are exhausted with that mentality and that strategy. I'm exhausted. You know, because we don't look the same, now you're my enemy?
Right.
Because we aren't born in the same way? Because we don't worship the same way? Because we don't love the same way? Because we don't whatever the same way? A lot of people are very self-conscious of their skills, and so they have to make an enemy. I'm confident, but I'm not arrogant.
Yes.
And when you look at people and you think, I can find good in anybody, that's unity.
Amen.
It's not to be confused with uniformity. That uniformity means we're all the same, like 3 bottles of water.
Right.
That's uniformity. This is unity.
Unity. Amen. Yeah, I like
Nice.
it. Going back to Flint, some of our viewers may not be fully aware with, the situation that happened there. Walk us through, from the moment you heard about the situation that was unfolding in your city, the moment you realized that this is going to have a detrimental impact on all of Michigan, if not the majority of America, as we saw riots. What was the conversation with you and your team on how you're going to do? Because real talk, your approach was completely different to every time we've seen a situation where, you know, I'm not going to say police brutality, but when it's perceived that way, right?
You can say it, because that's what it was that day.
Correct. But I'm just
I understand,
conscious
I appreciate it.
to differentiate who you are from
Sure.
what that
Absolutely.
is. Because I've seen it in firsthand. You are different.
Thank you.
Talk to us about that day and how you decided that we must do better.
So just for a little bit of background, I'm on year 32. I got hired June 2nd, 1993. And through my whole career as a deputy, as a sergeant, lieutenant, captain, undersheriff, you know, I've seen so much death and violence and so much anger and hate and addictions. And so you just get numb to all that because it's your job, right? And so when I became the sheriff in January of 2020, within 3 weeks, COVID hit. And I'm also the emergency manager of the county. So we're a big county. So we go into life-saving gear, right? And then on May 25th, a guy that looks like me in full uniform took a grown man's life in broad daylight. And for 9 minutes, as this guy was begging for his life, asking for his mother, he just stood there while others in uniform did nothing. And that's what lit the fuse, because people, not only just in law enforcement, but around the country and around the world saw that and they thought, is that what American policing is? And the answer is no. That's not who my grandfather was. That's not who my dad was. That's not who the cops I grew up with are. That is not who law enforcement is, right? Well, in Flint, you got to know, for the purpose of context, I call it the little brother of Detroit. Detroit's the big brother, Flint's the little brother, very similar issues. Detroit has 633,000 people. We've got 90,000 people in the city. And we just come through a water crisis. In 2016, imagine you couldn't drink water, you couldn't bathe your kids, you couldn't mix formula because government let the people down. So there's always this underlining distrust of government. Then you have George Floyd getting murdered. And so everything came together. COVID, an election year, the distrust, George Floyd. On May 30th, I had heard a day before. Now remember, I only had 5 months on as sheriff. Even though I had a lot of time on the job, 5 months as sheriff. They had a protest schedule at 5 o'clock at the Target parking lot on Miller Road, which is a big business district outside the city. And so I met the team. I said, we're going to prepare for it until Friday night hit. When I saw what happened Friday night around the country, big cities burned, you know, CNN was burned down in Florida. A big sheriff's office in Washington was burned. That changed the way we were going to respond on our protest. I met with the team at 1 o'clock on that afternoon. I said we could take 1,000 people to jail. We had 1,200 flex cuffs. We had all of the OC spray. We had our incident command center set up at the Flint Township Police Department. We had all the same traditional things set up because we were expecting conflict. Correct. But around 4:30, when we lined up there, we had drones in the air, we had unmarked cars. You could hear businesses bzz, 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 locking up their businesses, putting up boards. There were people who owned restaurants and businesses like this that were boarding up, and they had all their weapons inside, that if anybody's coming in, they're killing them. That was all happening right there. There was this weird eeriness about it. And then at 5 o'clock, the first car showed up. And within the first half hour, 45 minutes, they took over all 5 lanes of the traffic. They marched to the west, then back to the east. They shut down I-75. They came back up, and this is now about 7 o'clock-ish. The crowds are growing. They went past us the second time, kind of like this big road right here. But then they went farther, and they surrounded a fire truck, a big pumper fire truck. When they did that, the whole environment kind of changed. They went a little bit farther, and then they took another northbound shot down a side street, and that was toward the Flint Township Police Department, the dead end of our incident command. And I'm telling you, everything changed when they went towards the police department. The radio traffic flipped to all available units. Sirens from around just kind of lit up. They asked for every car in the county to go. And then I heard the radio traffic, fortify the line, don't let them in, don't let them burn. Because the whole time we're watching the crowd, we're watching all the social media. And so there's all the things that they're going to do on social media. So we were prepped for it, right? So I flipped around, I drove there, I put my helmet on, I had my gear on, and all of my people were there, other police agencies were there. And I literally remember walking from the back of the police department, just kind of south over this little grassy mound, and they're all coming at us, and we're outnumbered like 50 to 1. And I literally thought to myself, how did it get this bad? Why did that guy over there do something that now I've got to respond to? Like, how did that happen? And I had this question, man. And so I went a little farther, and people are just mother effing us, and they're, just wanting us to die. And the line was there with shields and helmets, batons, and you got young cops and you have older cops, and people are just like shaking and angry and scared, and you have other people just like goes face to face. One of my guys, he had a less than lethal shotgun. He had like an orange stock and a rail, and it shoots like pepper balls, And so you can shoot them in a crowd and they explode. And it tried to disperse the crowd, but it's not pleasant. I said, Rudy, tuck him behind the car, man. He goes, all right. Another guy over to my left, his name is Ryan Dobbs, one of my guys. He was a Marine for 6 years, a good dude. I said, Ryan, tuck him behind the car, man. They're screaming and yelling. He's like, Sheriff, they got guns look in the crowd. And I look in the crowd, and people are open carry. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking, man, one move, one little on either side. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you something to answer the question, what was the best day of my life as a police officer? And it's about to happen. I went there, and as I said that, I looked in, and I thought, again, by God's grace, when you're doing things that fast, it's not the time to plan. It's always what's going to be in your heart, right? Yes. It's instinct. Yes. It's instinct. Yes. And so I don't say what I'm about to say because it was part of the plan. The plan was to take 1,200 people to jail if they caused a problem. But when you look at the humanity of people, and I saw it, I thought, there's got to be a better way. Mm-hmm. So I took my phone out and I called a buddy of mine who was in the protest earlier. His name is Jeff Hawkins. He's a black pastor who lost 2 different kids on 2 different homicides as victims. One was a young kid. He was 14 years old going to the party store. He got killed coming out of the party store. And his older son, who was married, got killed coming back to his house. The guy's just a street legit guy, and he's a friend. And I called him up. I'm like, bro, where are you? He goes, I'm in the crowd. I said, where? He goes, look up. And I look up, and there he is. I said, hey, I'm coming for you. I don't know why. But I do know that when you listen to the people and you go with your gut, it's not always going to make sense. Mm-hmm. And I knew for a second, if I went in there and broke the line of my guys and I broke into them, then if I had a helmet on, it could be an instigator, like, all right, he's coming to attack. So I thought, I'm taking my helmet off. I took my helmet off. I walked through the line, and I saw Hawkins. I gave him a big old hug, and he's a big dude, man. And as soon as I gave him a hug, man, I looked up, and one of my captains was coming down the line, and he had this look on his face. His name is Rick Cronkite. He's like, Sheriff, this dude wants to talk to you. And I looked up, and it was one of the organizers of the whole protest, a big old dude. I didn't get a chance to say a thing, man. I said, hey, that guy over there is not who we are, man. I said, these cops are here to help you. I said, you need to tell us what we need to do. And he says, you tell the people what you told me. I said, well, get their attention. He's like, hey, everybody, the sheriff wants to say something. And dude, they went, and they all got their phones out. So it's kind of like a social tennis match, They serve, I serve. They serve, I serve. And so when they got the attention, I thought, all right, here it goes. This is all happening in nanoseconds, right? I said, hey, man, that guy over there is not who we are. I said, that cop over there gives hugs. I said, you got women, you got kids here, you got dogs. I said, I want to turn this into a parade, not a protest, trying to de-escalate it, right? And they're all I could just feel this like tension. Yeah. And I asked the most important question that I've ever asked in my entire life. Now, mind you, I have been like in all crisis. I've been a paramedic since I was 20. I mean, I have had hundreds of people die in front of me, and I'm asking them questions about where they hurt, how does this. This was the number one question. I simply asked, what do you need us to do? And for the record, the takeaway from this show is, if you want to know, ask the people closest to the problem, and they'll give you the solution.
Amen. Yeah.
Pastor Hawkins here. I'm just going to tell you, we want to be with y'all for real. So I took my helmet off and laid the batons down. I want to make this a parade, not a protest. Come on. That's it. You got little ones here, you got dogs, so what's up? So listen, I'm just telling you, these cops love you. That cop over there hugs people, so you tell us what you need to do.
Walk with us! 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 Walk with us!
Let's walk with us! Let's walk with us!
I don't know what growing up on the streets was like for you. So who am I to say what you need to do? I need to ask you. And so when I asked that question, man, I'm telling you, I didn't even get the whole answer to the question out. Like I didn't even get the words out. They started chanting, walk with us, walk with us. And it got louder and louder and louder. And can I tell you, watching Gibbs at Ford Field, the cheering comes from your lungs. Yes. Listening to people chant from pain comes from your gut. And they got louder and louder and louder. And they passed it back to me. And I remember, I still watch the video 5 years later this May, and I take a big deep breath. And I said, listen, man, it's crazy. I'm living it myself right now. And I just said, let's walk. I said, let's walk. And I started turning. I didn't know who was behind me. And I don't say this to be egocentric. I just knew that if I just started the movement, but I didn't think about it. It's instinct. It just happened. I started walking, and I'm not kidding you. Like a knife through butter, it cut the tension from hate to hope instantaneously. I started walking to the east. People started coming up, and I started high-fiving, like, dude, we did it, man. I started talking to people about, we're gonna make a moment, man. And I said, we don't need to burn our city. And it just kept going. I had about 150 yards.
Man, I love your vibe, bro.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Why is he gonna get my vote?
Listen, I'm not doing it for that, man. But listen, you got to hear this. One last thing. This is like the crescendo. I get down about 150 yards, and one of my guys, of course, everybody's just like tripping, and I'm trying to, I don't know who's behind me or what. And I look at that Marine. Remember I told you Ryan Dobbs, and he's to my left. And none of this is caught on camera, but it's a moment that we had that is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. All of this is going down. And I turned to him and I said, is the police department safe? He's still all kitted out. Helmet, gear, in the crowd with me. He goes, it's good, bro. And I said, where are the people? And what he said to me changed my life. He says, they're all following you. I'm telling you, you don't need a position of influence. You don't need money. You just need the right heart and the moment. And when you put those two together, you can change it.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
So, about you, like, I don't know a lot. Hassan, he was telling me about you. I went really quick. I did research, and I seen what you did. It's a lot.
Thank you.
So, now, what you want the voter to know about you?
Yeah.
Your vision.
Yes,
Yeah.
because a lot of people, they don't like
Yeah.
to go and do
Yeah.
research. You can tell them like, what you want them to know about you.
Before anything happens to you, they got to get through me.
Amen.
I'm going to protect everything that means the most to you, the things that you hold dear. I'm going to serve like a servant leader's never served before. And I'm going to bring people together that you would never thought would be brought together.
And these aren't
That's it.
These aren't just campaign
man.
words, by the way, ladies and gents. I'm sincere when I say this. I've actually done extensive research on Sheriff Swanson. And, my line of work is to inspire hope.
Right.
When we go out and we speak at religious congregations. And the reason why I cheer for you is because I see someone who's doing everything that I want to do. I don't necessarily, I'm a believer that I don't have to make the cake. If somebody else made it, I'm going to enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? And you're baking an amazing cake for Michigan right now. I want to take us back to one moment, because as you're painting that picture, I'm seeing a war zone. It really is a war zone. You got a command center. I'm seeing Fallujah. I'm seeing a man dealing with war. Okay, it might not be happening in foreign lands, but it's happening at home.
That's right.
It might not be a war of nations, but it's a war of people that no longer trust the system that they thought was there to represent them. You being at the helm, we all know there's a saying, the thin blue line, right? Because you have to protect your people,
right?
The people that are sworn to protect and uphold the law. And it's unfortunate, but we don't always see them in good light, right. Whether it's through Hollywood movies or whether we hear of, horrible incidents that are one-offs and they don't represent the whole. You were dealing with a lot, man. And that's what I really like about you, because you didn't... Look, there is thinking and then there is knowing that this is the right thing to do. Right. Everything in my mind is telling me no. All my training is telling me no. This is catastrophic. Right. You're going to the belly of the beast. They can harm you. I've already seen guns. But you took off your helmet and led. Was that because you felt that your team was being misrepresented and you had to represent them correctly? Was it because you felt that this is not Flint? Because I think there's a lot that was going on that day.
Oh, yeah.
How will you translate that now within a Michigan state, where now you're going to be dealing with problems bigger than Flint? You're going to be dealing, and I don't think they're going to be bigger than what you already dealt with, because it had an impact on the whole nation. But are you going to continue listening to people? Are you going to tap in? Are you working to build those bridges? Because sometimes people just think, you know what, this guy just wants my vote. Tell us about what you're doing right now and what you've been doing before your campaign started. Longer.
So there's a lot of questions in that. The first thing is, I don't want anything. I want to earn people's support. I want to earn their trust in me. I don't want anybody giving me anything that I didn't earn. That's the first thing. Number two, let me address the thin blue line. The thin blue line's original meaning is to honor police officers that gave their life for people that they don't know. Amen. There's no other profession in our United States that you are expected to die with honor, protecting other people from shootings, stabbings, beaten to death, car accidents. Yes. When we get a 911 call, we don't ask questions of who they are. We don't ask, is this going to be a dangerous situation? Whether it's a one-day rookie or a 30-year veteran, those cops are coming no matter what. No place in the country doesn't realize that when they have no answer, when the wheels of life fall off, you can call 3 numbers and we're coming. Mm-hmm. That's what the thin blue line stands for. The thin blue line has never been to protect dirty cops. There are people in our business that if you can't train it out, you can't discipline it out, you need to cut it out. Amen. Because they don't represent the hundreds of thousands of cops that go to work every single day to do the right thing. And yes, it's sensational when Hollywood, does a story, but if you look at the real stories of what happens, they make bad decisions. Since I've been sheriff, I fired 29 cops in my own agency because you have to hold them accountable. The thin blue line is not to protect bad behavior. It's to honor cops who gave their life for others.
Love that.
Period.
I'm
so glad you answered that.
Now I'm going to answer this other question. Yes, problems are coming no matter what. And as a leader, you just don't know what it is. But you have to have, in my opinion, been battle tested. And if you're going to go to lead 10 million people, no matter what the problem is, they need to know that 24/7, whatever happens, I have them. I want to be, as an executive leader, people's insurance. And so how I tell people is, when you're trusting an executive leader, especially a politician, when it comes to me, do not judge me, please, by the sins of the past or somebody who did you wrong. Look at the goods and the receipts that I have and listen to what I've said from Jump Street. And I said it when you were there last month. Don't listen to a word I say, just watch what I do. Amen. And so to gain people's trust as the governor, you can guarantee I'm going to listen first. Because it is by nature, either a paramedic or a police officer, when we get to a scene, the first 2 questions we ask is, how can I help you? Where do you hurt? That's no different than any leadership position. So you can guarantee, whether you're at this party or that party or this faith, whatever, executive leaders like sheriffs, we take care of people. And as a governor, there's no difference. And people need to know that they can believe in the system again. Just like in law enforcement. I think we're better now in law enforcement post George Floyd than the 25, 30 years that I had before. Sometimes pressure and pain makes us better. It refines us.
Right. You got to go 100%. Through that sometimes. During your campaign, what is the most difficult thing that you're facing right now? Are there any difficulties?
Oh, yeah.
What would you say some of the difficulties would be?
It's human nature for people to look at somebody. We all know this. And they make instant judgments. And so it's very difficult for me with my own DNA, that when I tell people, yes, I'm a Democrat, yes, I'm a sheriff, yes, I'm a white dude, yes, I'm this, things that I'm a part of, they immediately start making judgments because of all the other things that somebody may have done. And so I tell people, if you could just look at me as a person and ask me as a person, regardless of what you think or what you heard, let me be your trusted source. And when people say, I just can't believe he's always like that. You see, always that energetic? The answer is yes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and when you try to explain,
Every time I'm with Sheriff, he's energetic.
And then, the other thing is they look at all this, and again, many times people have been wounded, and I get that from the past. And so they're thinking, well, there's just no way. Eventually, this is going to come out. It just happened this weekend. Can I tell you?
Yeah.
At my event, I had all faiths there because these are my friend, right? So I had a guy from the Nation, and he was there, the Nation of Islam, and he was there, and he told me on Saturday, he goes, I went there for one reason, because I wasn't going to be focused on what you were saying good. I was waiting for the one thing that you were going to say to prove right that I know that you're fake. That's what he was there for.
That's what people do.
I'm telling you, I listened to 23 minutes, and I didn't hear a single thing. That's the mountain that you need to climb.
Yeah.
To redirect. I'm very proud of what we do in law enforcement, but people, although love the police, it's our job to give them a reason why every day. I appreciate people loving what I've done, but it's my job to earn that every day. Take nothing for granted.
Amen. Amen. Yes.
What can governor do to lower cost of living?
Yeah. Work with a lot of people. Cost of living is like, how do you make the ocean clean again? It takes a lot of people to do things. So first of all, economy is just buying and selling of goods and the production and the delivery of services. I mean, economy is just about moving money and spending money, right? So we look at the basic level. How does this make money? You have expenses, you have payroll, you have taxes, but you have income. If your income is never higher than your expenses, it doesn't matter what somebody does, you're never going to make it.
Right.
How do we go like this? How do we lower expenses or increase income? That is the basic law of all economics. How does the state of Michigan get its money? Through taxes and federal support. If you have a budget, is your budget being used effectively? Because it's the people's money.
Correct.
And if you overspend your budget, why? And if you have a surplus, what are you doing with that surplus?
Yeah.
Right now, the state of Michigan, the most recent budget had an $80.2 billion budget. They spent $84 billion, but they took in $86. So there's a $2 billion surplus, right? Why don't we give it back to the people or pay off some debt?
Right.
And when you do that, and you find ways to lower costs on daily things, gas tax holidays. There's a state gas tax about 46, 47, 48 cents a gallon, where if you just told people, listen, I want you to travel the state, I want you to get your barber cut, I want you to go up to Traverse City, I want you to go over to wherever you want to go, because we're going to suspend gas tax for 2 days before Memorial Day, 2 days before Labor Day. Go out there and enjoy it. Just that little bit.
Yeah.
My Michigan Tuesdays. You know what I want to do with my Michigan Tuesdays? Every business knows that Tuesdays is the hardest day to get business, right? So one Tuesday, the first Tuesday of the month, any Michigan resident with a driver's license or an ID card can go into any registered business based on the zip code and say, hey, I'm a Michigan resident. And you can say, listen, you get a haircut here, you get $15 off and a free bottle of water. Just to start the business relationship and to drive people to businesses. Simple things. How you spend your money, how efficient it is, how do you bring new industry in?
Right.
We're Great Lakes states, I said in my talk. And most all the boats are built in Indiana.
Thank you.
We have Silicon Valley. What about Silicon Lakes? You have data centers that are the up and coming with AI. You have supercomputers that need cooling. We're cool 6 months of the year. Why are we not attracting
that kind of business?
We're 39th in the country when it comes to bachelor's degrees and post-education. When you have education that are drawing people to industries, it's going to draw more industries here. Why are we not teaching in schools financial literacy in elementary school and in middle school and high school? Trades, learning how to cut hair. I mean, there's a lot of things that people can do with their hands and a lot of pathways. I could go on now, but I'm going to tell you, to reduce costs, you've got to get a lot of people on the right path to say, this is how we do it. As a business owner my whole life, I bought my first pony when I was 9. I know how to make money, and I know how to save money, and I know how to build businesses. That's no different in Lansing about building a business.
So one thing I wanted to say, and I could be wrong just in my assumptions here, as a sheriff, I feel like you might have a little bit more freedom or not so much pushback when you give an instruction.
I want to thank so many people, some VIPs. We've got so many that said, I'm driving 3 hours to be here. And everybody here is here because there's something you believe in what I've done. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor John Cherry, two-term LG. Judges, I've got friends from all over the place. Anybody from Dearborn Heights? Anybody from Genesee County? I want to say thank you. Thank you to all my labor friends, everybody who I grew up with, all my friends, my family, Kelly Indish and some nurses. Always be kind to your nurses, remember that. I had Dr. Avon Burns, my first instructor from my community college, 1990. Thank you, Dr. Burns. Any educators in the house? Thank you. Grant Sheik and his brothers, thank you. I told you in 2016 to believe me and trust me, and they showed up. There are so many great people that are here. Steve Dawes, Regional Director 1D. A friend, a guy who's willing to stand up no matter what for righteousness. Mike Booth, Vice President, UW National General Motors Division. Thank you, Mike Booth. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. I don't know if the Godfather, Larry Rorig's here, and Gino from AFSCME. I just want to say thank you. But in the house, we've got plumbers and pipe. There he is, I hear it. We got plumbers and pipe fitters. We got business owners. We've got students. We've got people giving me two fingers. We've got Republicans, Democrats, and independents in this house. Thank you. We got pastors. We got imams, rabbis. We've got friends from all walks of life. Because that's what it's about. Can I tell you this? We're not talking about good people. You can't promote a message without those people right there. These are my friends. Thank you, media, for always giving the message to people, for all that are covering it. I appreciate that for media. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I've been wanting to say something for a long time, Cat Muhammad. I appreciate you. My name is Christopher Robert Swanson, and I'm running for governor for the South. I tried to keep that a secret for 5 years. I tried. Now, one would ask, what drives somebody to want to be the governor? I get asked all the time. The AP asked, why? Well, let me just tell you, for 32 years, I have worked in an environment where I've seen most people at the worst part of their day. And I'm trying to find a way with all my colleagues to give them something to look forward to, something to feel justified and feel like they have a voice. The bottom line is, if you want to ask me why I'm running for governor, because I want to help people. That's it. That's it. It doesn't have to be complicated. I want to help people. And when I love you, and when I talk about helping people, I knew this from a young age. When I was a little kid, you know this, Victoria. When I was a little kid, I knew that I was born to lead. I knew that I was there to just plow the fields, and whatever needs to be done, I'll take care of it. Leadership is preparing in your calm to perform in chaos. Leadership is finding solutions when you have seconds to make a decision. And that's what I've done with my career. I have chosen the role of leadership, which is a lonely road, but it's a worthy one. And the second quality is I knew as a growing up is I love to inspire. I've been a paramedic since I was 20 years old. And I knew when I'd go in front of an asthma patient, emphysema, and they couldn't breathe, and I would provide life-saving support for them to breathe, I would see life come back in their eyes. Because at that moment, and you felt this, nothing else mattered.
They wanted to breathe.
That's right.
Somebody who has the ability to inspire. All they want is to use their skill set to allow people to breathe. That's it. I want to lead and help people and inspire an entire generation in the state of Michigan. That's what I want to do. And by doing so, let me give you some examples. Because you want receipts. You don't want someone up here just talking.
That's right. Give receipts. That's right.
I knew when I was on the job for 30 days and a pandemic hit. And the role of the sheriff in Genesee County is also the emergency manager. And so in one day, Meals on Wheels ended, moms that needed diapers and formula, gone. We deployed the office of sheriff to fill the needs. You've got seniors that count one day to the next just to eat. But we didn't have the staff. We had people in the jail that we had to take care of. So you know what a leader does? A leader deputized 45 faith-based leaders, many of them are in the room, to just go into the community and help. I didn't know where their churches was, their mosques. I didn't care where they were. I just knew they had a heart for people. And you know what? When they knocked on someone's door and they gave that formula and those diapers, they didn't ask either. Shortly thereafter, somebody who looked like me, in a uniform like me, took a grown man's life in broad daylight.
Right.
And the nation grieved. That was not who law enforcement is. And there's retired and active police in this room right now. And you and I both know that's not how we're defined. Law enforcement are good people. Women and men and moms and dads that go out every single day to give their life for others. And when I saw a grown man beg for his mother before he took his last breath, that spilled over to this community. On May 30th, we were expected to riot. But there was a better option. Instead of riot, how about we just ask what people want? And you know what? Listen to them. And that day, Hill, you were there, it was paved with the bricks of hope, and it reached billions of people that day. And I can tell you, when you have a message, you become a messenger.
That's right.
And I kept getting asked the question, what's next? What's next? And I can tell you, everybody in this room, although we may look different, come from different places, there are three things that bind us because we all have this in common. Right. There was a time where you were given grace and you didn't expect it. Yeah. You were given mercy and you didn't earn it.
That's right.
And you and I have been given a second chance when we didn't see it coming. And so in September of 2020, there's a catch basin of people who have generational poverty, generational incarceration, generational lack of literacy, generational addiction, and they're in jails across America. So I said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to build a working class. We're going to educate people in the jail. We're going to give them hope. I learned this as a graduate student in 1998. You want to know what reduces crime? Education, value, job training, and job placement. We launched that in September of 2020. Can I tell you this? Almost 5 years later, thanks to the UW and our building trades, it is now the national standard in jails in America. National standard. It's giving people hope that they've been hoping for. Can I tell you, it reduces crime by 23%. I don't know of another government program in my 32 years that reduces crime by 23%. So said Harvard, Brown, and Michigan.
All right.
Just giving people an opportunity. And let me just tell you, if that wasn't enough, we assembled the greatest hearts and operators the state has ever seen to battle the fight against human trafficking. They are in this room right now. For the last 6 years, they became experts at giving people a voice, setting people free. Those operators have arrested over 200 predators, have taught thousands of people of what to look for when you have a child. It has given people their freedom back. It is known as GHOST, and it is the national standard set right here in Genesee County. And so just those small examples, when there's a challenge, we'll solve it. When there's a crisis, we will bring calm. And when there's an opportunity, we're going to seize it. Right. We're going to seize it as a state for everybody, not just one. I get asked, what is your platform? My platform is simple because it's always worked. I'm going to protect, I'm going to serve, and I'm going to unify. And can I tell you, I'm going to protect your families. I'm going to protect your children. I'm going to protect your schools. I'm going to protect your pets. I'm going to protect the things that mean the most to you. Whether it be a mosque, a synagogue, a church, a cathedral, or a temple, you are going to be able to worship in how you worship in peace, knowing that you have a governor that will protect your community. When I took the oath of office as sheriff, you raise your right hand, you know this, and you swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Michigan. So as your governor, I will protect your constitutional rights. I will protect your civil rights. I'll protect your bargaining rights. I will protect your personal rights and freedoms and your Second Amendment right. I will protect your rights. See, a governor is to enforce the laws and maintain order. The Constitution of the state, 1963, those are the only two main requirements. You know what the sheriff does? Enforce laws and maintains order with a little bit of help and value mixed in. So not only will I protect you and your families and the things that mean the most to you, I'm going to protect the economy. Because you can't do what you need to do without an economy that's growing. What is it fair about economy? Well, you may not know, when I was in business at 9 years old, when I bought my first pony named Molly, I hustled. And anybody works, you know what it takes to hustle. Whether you're coming up the ranks or you just get thrown into it, those that run businesses, those that understand the hard work of people, you sleep last and you get paid last. But business drives this community. So we're going to find ways to create new technology, whether it's startup software companies, whether it's AI or crypto mining or new industry. We're the Great Lakes and most of our boats are built in Indiana. Why are we not bringing manufacturing here? Find new ways and new industry, creating new jobs. We need 100,000 homes in Michigan. There is so much development. It's not just doom and gloom. There's a lot of good things happening in Michigan. We need to be prepared and ahead of the curve because there's 49 other people that are competing for it. They won't win against Michigan. Now we do. I do know this. When you want to do something, and there's people in this room that understand it. When you want to start something great, it's an idea that boils up in your guts. And many times you just don't know where to go. You just don't know where to turn. Let me tell you, part of our growing economy is to take new ideas and make them successful. We're going to have an entire process that if you have a business idea, you're going to be able to work with the state, and we're going to walk you through every step you need to be successful. Because when your business is successful, you grow into things that other people can't. You do things that other people won't. And you feed your family, and you become your own success. That's economy. And that's a success. The Bible teaches us to be first, you must be last, and servant to all. So we're not only going to protect the things that mean the most to you, but we're going to serve people. And you know what all means? Everybody here. They may not look like you, believe like you, live where you live, grow up where you grow up, but when you serve people, you take all those things that Kai said, you put them on a shelf, and you use your heart to direct you. When you serve people, just do the right thing. And when I tell you this, the right thing is not always the easiest thing.
Right.
I know this firsthand. Sometimes you got to go against the grain.
That's right.
But when your gut's leading you, and you see the lives and the eyes of the families that you're serving, the people that you're helping, it's worth it.
That's right.
Write the check.
That's right.
Can I tell you, the state of Michigan and Lansing will be rebranded as the Help Center of Lansing.
All right.
The Help Center, with the goal in mind to create a customer service mindset. And guess who the customer is? You!
Yeah.
Me! I want to be able to pick up the phone and talk to somebody and ask a question. And so part of problem solving is, how do you do that with 10 million people? I know, 83 sheriffs in the state of Michigan. We're going to create the first state sheriff network. It's a service network that anybody in your community, you're going to have an ambassador assigned to your sheriff from the governor's office. That you need help, go to the sheriff. And if that sheriff can't solve it, that sheriff's going to be able to pick up a phone and talk to somebody who can. Between the sheriff and the governor, we got your back. You're going to solve problems with the government. The service mindset, it's sacrificial. It's something that demands a lot, but you got to do it. People in today's world, not only in Michigan, but across the country, have lost faith in government. They've lost faith in the system.
That's right.
Many times they're disappointed. I understand there's parties, but why do you think we have those Republicans and Democrats and independents in this room? We have skeptics in this room. We have people that think, I'm going to go, but I don't know if I'm going to hear anything new. Well, I promise you this. The one thing that I'm going to add that has been missing, I've seen it live, is unity. I personally am exhausted with hate speech and division. For 32 years, those that answer 911 calls do not have a litmus test of who they go serve.
Right.
They answer the call for service, and they bring people together. Unity is not to be misunderstood with uniformity. We're all different. We're all diverse. Look at the crowd. But you know what we can find through leadership? Common ground. If you create wins across the board, it may not be everything you want, or everything you want, but it's more than what you had. It starts with leadership. Unity is an action. You got to do this. You got to be active. Can I tell you that shared sufferings, they heal wounds. They climb mountains. I can promise you that if you look to the person next to you, they're going through something. They need some help. They got things that they need help with. And leadership is able to bring that together. This campaign will not be an attack campaign. We will shine the light and inspire the next generation of political leadership. I don't need to point out what somebody did or what they did. I need to pray and we're going to do something in the ways that you can. Can I tell you, when you set the tone, others need to follow.
That's right.
I have great respect to a mayor, to a secretary of state, and a sitting senator, that they raised their hand and said, I want to do something that I know is going to cost me something. They aren't opponents to me. They're options. I promise you this, we will defend our positions, and I'll defend my history, but I will not attack.
All right. That's right.
I want you to know that you cannot have unity and division at the same time. You
That's
cannot.
right.
They don't coexist. But the Swanson campaign is a bright light to give people the hope that they've been looking for.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, I believe in this journey. The Lord has opened up doors that nobody can open.
Right.
He has put me in positions with people where you heard Kai speak. Because it's not what you say.
Right.
It's what you do.
That's right.
So I say right now, if you're a skeptic, don't listen to what I say, just watch what I do. There will be no guessing of what I'm going to do as the governor. Because my entire career has been based on leadership and inspiration and hope and helping people and finding value in everybody. I believe there's value in everybody in the state of Michigan, and I'm going to prove it. Just watch. Lansing needs a fresh face, a new voice. The people are hungry for something. Can I tell you this? I'm bringing pure energy to Michigan. And let me just settle something that you're probably thinking. Davey, back me up. Yes, I'm always like this. If there's one thing I know about being a 5-time Ironman, is a race of 140.6 miles is not finished at 130.6, or even 139, or even 140.5. The race is long, but it's the one who can finish the race.
That's right. That's right.
And I believe that the people in this room and those watching, and those that will cast their vote in just 18 months, want somebody to join with them because they're tough enough to win from Michigan. Tough enough to win. If you desire, inside, to write your name in the history books of Michigan,
All right.
then walk with me.
All right.
If you desire
Yeah.
to take this moment we have, and with momentum, create a movement, and walk with me.
Yeah.
I know there's people here right now that are willing to raise their hand and say, I'm ready, Swanson.
Yeah.
Will you walk with me? Listen to this. Talk to me.
Teamsters Local 332 in Flint, myself, Dan Glass, our entire membership is walking with Swanson.
Are the iron workers walking with Swanson?
Right here. Swanson over here. 25 proudly endorsed for Swanson for governor. We represent Sioux.
Do we have some IDW electrical workers in here? IDW Local 948, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers will walk with brother. Do we have any plumbers and pipe fitters in the house?
Walking with my friend Chris Swanson.
Do we have any bridge builders, tunnel builders, and road builders, operators 324 in the house?
William Miller, 324. We are walking and always will walk with Sheriff Swanson.
You got it, baby. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a simple ask. If you're ready for something new,
Yeah.
if you're ready to have a new fresh breath with a new fresh face to go to Lansing to represent the people, then I know a guy. I know a guy. I promise you, if you trust me, I will give you everything that I have.
Yeah.
I will give you the best of me, and I will walk with you.